very good at manifesting negative things, and they happen very quickly when I think of them. And I want to get clarity on this, and I want to know what I'm doing to pinch myself off.
Well, it's logical that if there is something that has some momentum going, that the momentum might play out. If the work that you do is out in advance, getting out ahead of it, it's not these big things that come up that you focus correctly or incorrectly about that are making the difference. It's the day-to-day choices about being in the receptive mode that really make the difference in the way your life is unfolding. And so many of the things that you worry about are not at the point where they're ready to become a thing. In other words, there's this lovely balance in all things. We want your emphasis to be upon the thought that you're thinking, not the thing that's becoming. Can you feel that? Yeah. Because if you can let your work be upon the thought that you're thinking feels this way, because you're allowing yourself to think this thought with your inner being. That's really what we're getting at. We want you to be willing to think the thought that your inner being will be thinking with you, because that's when you're most alive, rather than caring about the thing that the thought is turning to. There's a really big distinction there, isn't there? Yes. Every thought is moldable and manageable, and we want you to focus upon the resources of source energy that are at your back, the resources of well-being that are there, and the absolute, not just likelihood, certainty of it always turning out right for you, no matter what, no matter how it looks at any point in time, because that's who you are. In other words, but you all would have to step back and look at the bigger picture in order for this statement that we've just made to be meaningful or to even be accepted by you, because we know that sometimes you're walking through time and sometimes things do happen that you want to call awful and that you don't want to happen. But when you step back and acknowledge that everything is about the becoming of you, and in any point in time you are allowing yourself, when you allow yourself to be the total you that you really are, then you really understand that. Happily now, happily ever after. Now and now and now and now and now. Happy now and now and happy now and now. And happy meaning interested, fascinated, loving, appreciative. Happy means a lot of things, doesn't it? Sometimes you're happy just to slow down and rest. Sometimes you're happy just to put your feet in the water. Sometimes you're happy just to eat something delicious. Sometimes you're happy to engage with another person. In other words, happiness is a really broad thing. But when we say happy, we mean receptive mode. We mean you and you having this moment. Just stop being hard on yourself about the contrasts that you experience. Look for the benefit in it. Here's something really good to say. Even if you're experiencing something really not wanted, say to yourself, since things are always working out for me, there must be value in this, and then look for it. Look for the value. You can't miss this, knowing what you now know and where you now stand in relationship to what you know. There's no way that the unwanted will not continue to dissipate. It will. It must continue to dissipate. Anything else would be illogical. We want you to just relax in this and not get too upset with yourself. Esther does that sometimes too. She'll say, I should know better. And we say, what about sometimes traveling through an unpleasant neighborhood or environment on your way to a beautiful park? Sometimes those unwanted things are just causing you to ask with stronger clarity about what you do want. It's all part of it. You never get it wrong, and it's never finished. And the reason that you can't get it wrong is because it's never finished. So you just, from where you are, you keep getting out ahead of it again and getting out ahead of it again and getting out ahead of it again. As it is in the state of becoming, because law of attraction is responding to it too, it's gaining a momentum. And if you are in the vicinity of the momentum that it has gathered, then you receive answers and ideas about it. And that's really what we mean by the receiving mode of what your inner being knows and who you've really become, as you put higher emphasis on the joy part of the triad of intentions, so that you are feeling better more of the time and ideas begin to flow to you. When those ideas come and you know that they came from that source energy place because they came with such a burst of enthusiasm and you felt so good about them, initially at least. As those ideas play out, things just unfold beautifully. But if you're feeling vulnerable or any of those emotions that you all feel from time to time, what comes from that are unpleasant conversations and unpleasant experiences and unpleasant things. Most of what you all are doing is from there. Withdraw a bit from what's going on. That's why meditation is such an effective tool about raising your vibration, or rampages of appreciation, or doing things that truly are good feeling and pleasurable to you. You just have to find some way of disassociating with the momentum of this. But that's what we mean by getting out ahead of it rather than being a reactor. Because you see things on television every day that you react to. And when you're reacting, you're spewing a vibration. And that vibration, if you do it often enough, is going to become a momentum that's going to feel hard for you to do something else about. We want you to get a deliberate grip on yourself and acknowledge that stuff happens and that's just what's going on. But who you really are is someone who mostly leans toward compliments rather than criticisms. In other words, just remind yourself who you really are. Because with each and every negative experience that you have, there is a counter asking for something that you do want. You can't have a negative experience without throwing a desire for something improved in your vibrational reality. If you want to get into this receptive mode where those magical rendezvous happen, and if you really do want to live happily ever after, it is going to require some disengagement from the stuff that you are reacting to. Even though it's answered and it's in a vibrational form that you can't receive unless you're in the vibrational vicinity of it. So you've got to be in that place where you can receive the good ideas. And step 4 is mastery of that. Step 4 is just getting so good at that. Step 4 is caring more about how you feel than anything else. In that triad of intentions, you care more about the joy than you do about anything else till you get really good at it. And then step 5, it's our favorite step to talk about, and it especially applies right here and now with you. Step 5 is where you're not mad at yourself when you've dipped back down into step 1, because step 1 is essential to the equation of eternal expansion. But feel the difference. When you have mastered this step 3 of being in the receiving mode, when you are in the state of allowing and you're really good at it, so you know how to get there, and you get there easier today than you ever have, and easier tomorrow even than today because you've practiced it, and so you're doing it deliberately and you feel good about it. Then when something happens that you have previously observed and really taken a strong negative hit on, and maybe even gotten all defensive about, once you've mastered that and you are in what we are calling step 5, you can observe without getting all balled up in it. So you become not reactionary to things you can't control. You may observe them, but you've got such momentum going for yourself about your well-being and about the well-being of the planet and about the well-being of others. Well-being is so dominant within you. It's like watching a child fall down or be unhappy about something that he can't do, and you're not really worried about him because you know that's just part of learning how to walk. So you're not down there crying with him. You're encouraging him because you know it's going to be okay. And that's really what step 5 is. It's knowing that it is ultimately okay, that the dominant momentum is that you are a magnificent person. The dominant momentum is that good things are coming to you. The dominant momentum is that you do good things. The dominant momentum is that life is supposed to be good for you. The dominant momentum is that things are working out for you. That's the dominant momentum. And when you really get there, you are far less reactionary to most of the world that's down here fussing over stuff that doesn't matter. And so the answer is to enjoy the contrast because it helps you make choices, not see it as a threat to your happiness. Can you feel the difference? Contrast doesn't threaten you. It's what has given birth to your vortex. It's what feeds your vortex. It's what the expansion of the universe is all about.